Manchester United have just beaten Leeds 2-0 away from home to momentarily go second in the Premier League. What a season it has been under Erik Ten Hag. Despite so much turmoil on and off the pitch, United have kept winning games and we're still in all four competitions. We were missing Casemiro, Varane, Martinez, Anthony Martial, and we had to play with Maguire at center back, who was absolutely atrocious at times. The number of times he passed the ball straight to Leeds was unbelievable. In this video, we're going to analyze how Leeds pressed the life out of Man United in the first 60 minutes and how Erik Ten Hag's tactics changed the game to win 2-0. Now, before we get into the analysis, don't forget to subscribe and turn on your bell notification so you never miss out on content just like this. To kick things off, let's talk about Man United's shape in possession and Leeds United's shape out of possession, because that'll tell us everything about Leeds United high press that troubled Man United for the first 60 minutes. Man United started in a 4-2-3-1 but played in Ten Hag's preferred 3-3-1-3 that looked like this. Ten Hag's front three operated as usual, with Weghorst occupying the opposing center backs, Rashford playing high and wide on the left hand side, and Sancho instead of Anthony playing high and wide on the right hand side. And in the pocket in behind the front three was Bruno, who was allowed a free role to roam on the left or the right wing as needed to help create chances. Now we see problems starting to emerge when we look at the middle three of Dalot, Sabitzer and Fred. Normally this line of three has Casemiro and the two fullbacks playing in it in the inside spaces, but since Casemiro was out due to suspension and Ten Hag decided to rest his starting center backs, what ended up happening was Sabitzer was forced to play the Casemiro role and Fred was forced to play the Luke Shaw role because Luke Shaw was playing at center back. Sabitzer, being more of a box-to-box midfielder, kept wanting to drift forward into the inside spaces on either the left or the right hand side, and what ended up happening was he would vacate his position, which would leave a lot of space for Leeds to get in behind. Fred, being much worse than Luke Shaw at almost every aspect of the game, was very easy to press and bundle off the ball. So every time McKennie, Somerville, Harrison tried to press him, he just didn't have that press resistance the same way that Luke Shaw does, and he doesn't have that strength either. So Leeds just kept bundling into him and he just kept losing the ball. Also, his passing, as we all know, is not that good. So he kept misplacing passes, which meant we lost possessions and we didn't really have that same control over the game just from not having Luke Shaw playing this position. Then we get to the back three of Malacia, Shaw and Maguire, which arguably caused us even more problems than the midfield three did. With the whole squad fit, Ten Hag usually plays an in-game back three of Eriksen in this area, Martinez in this area and Varane in this area. In this game, with all three of those players missing, we had massive problems because Malacia is not Eriksen. He doesn't have the passing range or the composure that Eriksen does. Shaw is pretty good, but he's not as good as Martinez in terms of passing or even physicality, and Maguire is definitely not Varane. He also doesn't have the passing range or composure that someone like Varane does. So basically that made it very difficult for us to build out from the back, and when you can't build out from the back effectively, the rest of the team doesn't function as they normally do. Now I want to throw the spotlight on Harry Maguire because his stats today show him to be a world-class ball-playing center back. He completed a game-high 108 passes with 85% completion rate. He had a game-high 139 touches, which is 52 more than the next highest of Luke Shaw, and he played 9 passes into the final third and also won more than 50% of his duels. So based off of that, he had a great game. But what the stats don't tell us is that the 19 passes that he misplaced were absolutely lethal to Man United. Almost every single time he was pressed by a Leeds United player, he made a mistake. Around this area here, he tried a back pass to David De Gea that was intercepted by Somerville, and he could have scored from that. He tried to switch the play several times and left it short or way too long, which started counterattacks for Leeds. He was just atrocious today, and he did not give me or any Man United fan any comfort watching him in that back line. His career is definitely finished at Man United, and I expect him to ask for a move in the summer, which will probably be good for both parties, but I just feel bad for him. Honestly, I just do, because the quality that we have above him in the center back position is just way better. Now, before we discuss Leeds United's shape out of possession, we got to move Man United back by about 15 to 20 yards because that's the effect Leeds had on us today. Leeds started in a 4-2-3-1 but played a 2-2-3-3 out of possession, and they were more than happy to press man for man throughout the pitch, as you can see here. You had the front three of Gnonto, Bamford and Somerville on Maguire, Shaw and Malacia. middle three of Adams, Harrison, and McKennie on Dalot, Sabitzer, and Fred, and Firpo and Ayling were playing on Sancho and Rashford. And with all of these man-to-man areas, the two Man United players that were free weren't actually free because they were forced to drop deeper to pick up the balls. You often had Weghorst in our own half, Bruno in our own half as well, with only Sancho and Rashford as out balls, but even they were defended constantly man for man. And we can see the stifling impact of Leeds United's press right from the start of the game in the very first minute, as we see here. We see Maguire getting the ball from a throw-in, and immediately Jack Harrison is ready to press him. Maguire sees this press and tries a quick switch of play towards Rashford. As Rashford receives it, we see Ayling, Somerville, and McKennie ready to press towards Rashford. Because it's a bit of an awkward ball to Rashford, it takes a few touches for him to get it under control, but he really has nowhere to go because of the two players that are pressing him. So Rashford tries to get it under control, but he ends up losing it out of play, and Leeds are in a perfect position to counterattack from here. So Leeds had this mindset not just in the first minute, but for the entire first half, as we'll see in the next few clips as well, but they maintained it till about the 60th minute. In this clip, we see Ayling taking a throw-in and McKennie's ready to run in behind Fred. As we play along, we see Fred actually able to tackle McKennie, win the ball back, and he's ready to play a pass forward to Bruno. As Bruno receives the ball, we see he is completely surrounded by Leeds United players and he has no real passing angle to play it out because Sabitzer's covered, Shaw's covered, Fred obviously just played the ball to him, Malacia's covered by two players, and Rashford is also about to be pressed by Luke Ayling. So that forces Bruno to take a loose touch and Jack Harrison is ready to win the ball back. But as he's about to do that, Fred tackles him and Leeds win a free kick at the edge of the box. And again, we see Leeds' willingness to press man-to-man high up the pitch, resulting in Man United losing possession, but Leeds also managed to get a free kick in a dangerous area. In our third and final clip from the first 15 minutes of play, we see Maguire and Dalot being pressed by Gnonto and Harrison. As Dalot plays it back to De Gea, we see that he doesn't have a clear passing angle to play it out from the back. We got these three Leeds players blocking off Maguire, Dalot, and Malacia in this area. And in order for De Gea to play it out to Shaw, he has to actually take a touch, change his body angle so that he can play it here, which again gives him less time. And by that time he does that, Bamford probably gets very close to his feet, so it's dangerous. So De Gea decides to kick it long towards Sancho, but it goes straight out of play for a Leeds throw. And cue De Gea's visible frustration, right? Anyone would be frustrated in this scenario, and we know that it's not De Gea's strong suit, but because Leeds are so focused on pressing man for man and doing it in a concerted fashion, it caused a lot of trouble for Man United. So how exactly did United manage to win this game 2-0 by the end? It was largely because of several changes Erik Ten Hag made in the 61st minute. First, he made two substitutions to bring in Garnacho for Sancho, and he also brought in Martinez for Malacia. And that made the new 3-3-1 shape look like this. In this shape, you had Garnacho and Bruno on the left and right wing, Rashford playing as the striker, and Weghorst actually playing as the cam. If you guys watch a lot of Man United, you know that when Rashford plays off the left-hand side, Shaw tends to provide support on the overlap. To create this space for Shaw to overlap, Rashford has to take the opposing center back or right back into more central area, so he usually makes his driving run here, which opens up this space for Shaw. But also normally, Weghorst tends to occupy these areas because you don't really see him getting a lot of service in the box, so he tends to drop deep to hold up play, link up play, and things like that. And because Bruno is also playing in this area, usually there's less space for all three of these guys to be effective. With Weghorst at cam and Bruno at right wing, there was more room for Rashford, Weghorst, Bruno, and Shaw on the pitch, as we saw from Shaw being able to put a great early cross from this area for Rashford to head it in, and we saw Weghorst being able to hold up the play really well in this deeper position and get Garnacho into the game because he got his assist, second goal scored by Garnacho. As we discussed earlier, all three positions in the back three were weaker than Ten Hag's first 11, and as soon as Ten Hag brought Martinez into the fold, we solved two of the three issues because Martinez was able to pass out from the back a lot better than Shaw from this position here, and Shaw was a lot better than Malacia at passing the ball and dribbling forward from this area here. In fact, he was even better at providing defensive cover for Fred because, as we know, he can be suspect at times, especially on the ball. Now, if you guys watched this game, you will know that Man United did not dominate Leeds in the slightest. This was a tough away game at Ellen Road that came on the back of a tough home game against the same opposition. And that's exactly why Erik Ten Hag deserves man of the match for this game. He ensured his team stayed in the game till the 60th minute, despite making big changes to the starting 11, including Maguire as the center back. He then made some tactical changes to the personnel and team shape that helped United get back into the game and ultimately win it 2-0. I know Ten Hag gets a lot of credit from rival fans and the media, but he deserves a lot more. Watching him week in, week out, it's starting to feel like the second coming of Jurgen Klopp or Pep Guardiola. This guy is absolutely special, man, and keep watching because I can't wait to see where he takes Manchester United. Get in the comments below with your thoughts. Thank you guys for watching. Like and subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you next time.